yesterday, so many of these young Lions getting their first glimpse of Urban Meyer's place. Urban merely 44-3 at Ohio State, seeking the fourth 20-game winning streak of his career. Incredible. Ohio State will get the ball first. Penn State won the toss and deferred to the freshman, Joey Julius. All 260 pounds of him will kick it away. He's a big kicker. That's right. Most of his kicks do reach the end zone. Curtis Samuel, the sophomore, is back deep for Ohio State at the 1-yard line. Here we go. It is Samuel with a chance from the 3. And the Lions, with the pads popping, knock him down at the 22-yard line. So once again, Cardale Jones gets the start, but we will see J.T. Barrett in the red zone in certain other situations tonight.
Yeah, 6'5", 250. People know all about what he did at the end of last year. And really, I think last week maybe had his best game as far as efficiency. 21 of 28, 291, 2, and no interceptions, which is the key in making quicker decisions, which is what Urban Meyer and his offensive staff want to see from him.
And no turnovers last week for Ohio State. Jones has thrown 5 picks on the season. The workhorse, Ezekiel Elliott, of course, number 15. Almost no other running back for Ohio State has carried the ball this season. This breaks a pattern. Typically, Ohio State has thrown the ball on the very first play of the game. This time they run Elliott and no gain there. The Chick-fil-A impact players.
Yeah, and I think when you start with Ohio State, as much as the quarterback seemed to get the attention, it is Zeke Elliott. We talked about that in the open. They've got to get him going. Penn State, they're blitzing, and they did a lot of that last year. Michael Thomas will get some one-on-one opportunities. Carl Nassib, one of the great stories for Penn State already. 12 tackles for a loss and 10 sacks. And in the middle there, Jason Kabinda, who's a nice inside linebacker. They moved him to the middle with some other injuries. He's doing a nice job of leading the Penn State defense.
The Wild Dogs is what this Penn State defensive line is known as. A fine, close-knit bunch of characters up there, but they can play football. Well, he looked immediately for Thomas to the right. The pass is deflected by Anthony Zettel, one of those Wild Dogs. The senior got the big arm up. They do that very well.
Well, they do, and I think that time Cardale Jones saw him down, thinking he was going to rush, and then he kind of drops out and gets in position to be able to go up and time it. You know, he look at him, and he's physical, and he's a guy who last year had a great game against Ohio State. But I'll tell you, he is a tremendous athlete, one of the more explosive defensive linemen you'll see for his size in the Big Ten.
Ohio State has struggled at times on 3rd down tonight. They need 11 yards here. You got Braxton Miller in the slot to the left of the quarterback, who looks that direction and delivers a high throw. He's looking for Miller, but it was a fastball, a little bit wild from Cardale, and so the Buckeyes go 3 and out.
Yeah, and Penn State, exactly what they needed to come in on the road, try to get a 3 and out to get the ball to their offense. And this is a ball where you saw Braxton Miller zone defense. He sits down perfectly. He's right there. If the ball is thrown on the money, it's a first down. He found the soft spot in the zone and just unable to connect with Cardale Jones.
So Penn State continues their trend. They haven't allowed any points on the opponent's opening drive all season. The fine Aussie punter Cameron Johnston just boots it deep, and DeAndre Tompkins has to backpedal to make a fair catch at the 24-yard line. Heather Cox all bundled up on the sidelines tonight. Hello, Heather.
Hello, Chris. And tonight marks Penn State's first true road test, and it is definitely in a hostile environment, which is a huge challenge for Penn State's O-line that's been struggling, already allowing 19 sacks on the season. So how will it handle all this noise? How will it handle the Ohio State defense really pinning its ears back and rushing the pass? Well, they've been practicing the silent count all season. James Franklin said they'll use a rhythm count as it gets loud. It starts with the signal from the center. This is the first time they've used it all season, and guys, by the noise I hear, they're going to need it.
And they give it to Akeem Lynch, the junior, who was the leading rusher for the Lions a year ago. He's had a knee bruise. He's back after missing the last game, and they moved the chains on the first play.
You see 6 different offensive line combinations in 7 games. In the offensive line, not only is talent important, but when you're breaking in some new faces, continuity, and that is a big factor. They're finally starting to get healthy, which is so important to what they need to do, especially on the road in this environment when they need to be able to communicate.
Hackenberg stands and delivers a strike. And breaking a tackle is Chris Godwin. A foot race. He'll be trapped out of the 20, but Penn State strikes quickly and gets near the red zone. Gary and Conley save the touchdown.
And watch Hackenberg in rhythm here, confident in the pocket, and puts the ball right on the money. The reason that's important in tight coverage is Godwin has a chance to make a play after the catch. He lowers his shoulder, breaks through 2 tackles, and he's off to the races. A poor angle that time by the safety, Tyvis Powell, that allowed him to be able to pick up extra yardage. This settles in right here, puts the ball right on the money. See Eli Apple coming over, a poor angle by Powell, and Powell's the last chance to make the play.
45 yards, and Joshua Perry, the senior linebacker, making his 30th career start. One of the cerebral leaders of the defense, is very slow to get up and seems to be favoring the right leg.
Well, he is a guy that's played in a lot of big games, and really a leader for this football team. And Ohio State has dealt with a number of injuries this year, mainly in the secondary.
He comes over and gets involved in the tackle, and keep an eye on the right ankle. Yeah, teammate
Eli Apple. Yeah, Eli Apple just trying to make a play, obviously, to prevent the touchdown. He just rolled up on his ankle.
So Perry helped off, and the Lions set up at the Buckeyes' 21-yard line, 2 plays into their first possession. Lynch bounces it. Very tough to run outside on this Ohio State team, especially Kirk to that side where Darren Lee and Von Bell patrol.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And it's a good job here by the linebackers. Watch them force this right there. They force it to the outside, and that's where Ohio State's speed, team speed, can come into play. But it was the inside linebacker, McMillan, that did a good job on the left tackle, Palmer. He engaged, pushed him back into the hole. There's really nothing that Lynch could do except try to bounce outside, and that's tough to do against the Buckeyes defense.
Yeah, let's think if they're going to run the ball tonight, Penn State's got to go north-south.
Have to find some creases.
Brandon Polk, the speedy true freshman, number 10's in the backfield. He gets the swing pass. Very dangerous with the ball. Takes a shot at the 16-yard line as Dante Booker, who's filling in for the injured Perry, makes the stop. It'll be 3rd down.
You know, the true freshman Polk is really known at this point in the season more for his ability to make plays in the jet sweep, but they just want to get him the ball in space. And Chris, to me, talk about their running game, trying to get vertical and go north and south. What they just did there with Polk is really an extension of their running game, just flipping it to the outside and relying on some blocks by the wide receivers.
Penn State has been a poor 3rd down offense, but this area, 3rd and 5, actually quite respectable. They run a lot in 3rd and medium. Hackenberg instead delivers a low throw. Really no chance for that play to succeed. Saeed Blacknall was the targeted man, but it's 4th down, and here comes the field goal team.
You know, as good as Hackenberg looked on the first throw to back into the boundary, this is great coverage by Eli Apple. He actually had inside technique, and there was just nowhere for Blacknall to go to be able to get inside. So good job by Ohio State's coverage there on 3rd down. Nothing to do for Hackenberg other than just throw it down and throw it away from the defender.
So here's big Joey Julius from 33 yards, turned down soccer scholarships to walk on to Penn State's football team. 8 of 9 on the season. Did miss a couple of PATs last week, but the Penn State offense with the big play connection to Godwin gets 3 points out of their first possession. Bunch division. That is far from over. I mean, everybody's within a game, I think, of the lead that the Giants have. 8:15 Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's. Begins coverage at 6.
You don't want to count Philly out just yet, now. My man Chip Kelly, he'll get things fixed.
You were hyping the Eagles. They got off to a rough start.
Don't count those Eagles out just yet. They're coming.
So Penn State, a 61-yard field goal drive in 6 plays. The big play, Hackenberg to Godwin. Now Julius will kick it away again to Samuel. Julius and Samuel in the corner. Oh, almost had a crease there, tripped down at the 30-yard line as the kicker was down there defending. So the Buckeyes back to work after going 3 and out the first possession. Come off probably their most complete game.
Yeah, I think so. When it comes to what Urban Meyer is looking for, and again, he wants efficiency. He doesn't want to have turnovers. He wants to be able to take care of the ball. Cardale Jones getting the ball downfield for the first time in a while. JT, of course, into the red zone. He had opportunities. He ran for 3 touchdowns. They were 6 of 6 as a team in the red zone, trying to find Michael Thomas one-on-one and getting Braxton Miller, just get his touches and try to get him involved because he's such a dynamic playmaker.
28-zip run against the Terrapins after the game was tied at 21 midway third quarter. Wasn't a perfect performance, but showed excellent signs in that second half. Elliott cuts it back and gets to the secondary, takes a hard hit for a 9-yard gain as we check in with Cassidy Hubbard from the studio for our first update tonight. Cassidy? Gators had an early 7-0 lead with the Bayou Bengals in front. Thank you. 2nd and 1. Elliott hesitated but does dive forward for first down yardage at the 40. Troy Reeder, the junior linebacker, knocked him down.
Outside of Virginia Tech week 1 when Ohio State went into Lane Stadium, and I know Virginia Tech, they've had some injuries, but the talent on their defensive line was pretty good. Outside of that game, this is by far the most talented, most physical and athletic defensive line this Ohio State offensive line will have faced all year.
Jones straight back, delivers. Incomplete. It was behind Thomas and very nearly intercepted by Grant Haley, the corner. So a little miscommunication.
Yeah, it's a miscommunication, and it's a rhythmic thing. It's Cardale Jones taking what he does in the practice field into the games, and it's, you know, you can look at it and say, you know, by the way, Haley, a great effort there, almost comes up with the interception, but the ball was behind. This has been kind of an ongoing thing for most of the year, where there are times when Jones looks great, and there are other times where he and his receivers just don't seem to be on the same page.
Jones 0 for 3 passing in the early going, so on 2nd and long, they'll feed Braxton Miller. That's often the pattern early in the game. Ohio State will treat 2nd and long like a running down.
Yeah, and I think you go back to Jones, and whether it's 2nd and long, 3rd and long, I think the reason they treat it as a running down is I don't think they have 100% confidence in the decision-making of Cardale Jones, and I think they err on the side of Zeke Elliott in the running game and the offensive line, as opposed to just being free-willing and taking chances the way they did in the last 3 games when he played quarterback.
So the Lions will rush only 3 on 3rd and long. Jones has time, delivers complete, battling but not getting the first down is Jalen Marshall. So the Lions gang up on him there. Good collective effort. Jordan Lucas, the safety, and Ohio State will punt again.
And it really goes back to that errant pass to Michael Thomas on 1st and 10. They ran the football, and the Penn State defense, they are doing a really good job with their plan, and they're very, very fortunate. They have a defensive line that is so strong. They can get penetration without always having to blitz, and you can keep 2 safeties back to prevent the deep play through the air by doing that.
Johnston again to punt it away. Tompkins makes a fair catch. They've now punted it 30 times this year. Teams have had positive returns on Ohio State 5 times. Penn State pinned back but in front after a 45-yard kick. Fans from both schools got a peek at the trophy up close at the Nissan Heisman House here in Columbus this week. Ran into Troy Smith, the most recent Buckeye Heisman Trophy winner this afternoon. He was all pumped up for this game. Crowd trying to get loud as this young, inexperienced Penn State offensive line and a true freshman tailback, Saquon Barkley, makes his return after missing 2.5 games with a high ankle sprain. He's behind Hackenberg. Barkley Wrapped up immediately, no gain. Adolphus Washington knocked him down. Heather?
Well, Chris, you saw one of Ohio State's leaders on defense, Joshua Perry, limp off the field. He has a right ankle injury. Head athletic trainer Doug Callan tested strength, mobility, then retaped it, but Perry couldn't put much pressure on it, so they've taken him out on the cart into the locker room. Doug said they'll take all that tape off, do an x-ray. He did say if the x-rays are negative, they'll retape it and see if he can go. So not definitely ruled out yet.
Sophomore from Akron, Dante Booker filling in for him. No gain in Barkley's first carry, so empty backfield on 2nd and 10. Hackenberg chased. He's not known as a runner, but in recent games, Kirk, he's been taken off quickly, at least making a positive play of it.
You know, he will surprise you with his athletic ability. They told me he's about a 4.7 40, which is pretty quick for a guy at his size, 6'4", about 230 pounds. And I also think Penn State told him this week, hey, listen, you're athletic, you've had some success. If it's not there, remember, Ohio State's had some trouble in recent weeks with quarterbacks running. They gave 150 yards scrambling last week to Maryland. So it's something he's looking for, and if he can take off against man coverage, he'll try to find first downs.
Sets up 3rd and 6. Buckeyes rush 4. Again, Hackenberg flush, rolls, delivers, incomplete. He threw it in the direction of Barkley, but into traffic as Joey Bosa got after him.
Yeah, watch Joey Bosa here, and he's just going to go after Andrew Nelson. He's right here. He doesn't necessarily come up with a sack, but watch the pressure. Watch how he's able to get after him, flush him out of the pocket, and force Hackenberg to throw it away. See, that's Joey Bosa in a nutshell. It's not going to show up tomorrow in the stats. He didn't have a sack. All he did is force Penn State to have to punt deep in their own territory and flush the quarterback out of the pocket.
And it's Chris Gula who missed last week's game with an injury. He made a tackle covering a punt against Army and missed the last game, and a whistle before the punt.
Timeout, Ohio State. They're first.
So the Buckeyes spent a timeout before the punt and figure to get very good field position for their 3rd possession.
That is Ohio State's defense. You know, everybody wants to compare them to where they were a year ago. You know, the offense to a year ago, mainly those last 3 games. The defense, the expectations are so high, it's almost as if they have to go out and just dominate every single game. That sequence of plays was very big to try to Penn State back deep in their territory.
You know, Kirk, before kickoff, they ran a play on the scoreboard here, and the crowd enjoyed it. The most improbable finish you'll ever see. Michigan just get the punt away, and you beat Michigan State, but the punt is bobbled, and Sparty runs it back. 0-0 on the clock. They make up for a terrible day on special teams with the game winner, 27-23. For the quote-unquote little brother again over Michigan.
Yeah, that's now, what is it, 7 of 8 now for Michigan State. And not only, Chris, was it a crazy finish, but what was at stake for the 2 teams?
Right there. That's all Michigan had to do to win the game, was get the punt away. But Marshall, a nice return, busts it down to the 35-yard line. And so Ohio State, struggling so far on offense, will be set up at the Lions' 35. A 39-yard punt on Marshall took it back 16 yards.
You know, the last 5 games for Ohio State, this has kind of been the way they've started games. They only have 3 offensive touchdowns in the first quarter in the last 5 games. So, you know, I don't know if it's just a matter of getting Cardale Jones and the offense in rhythm, or they're getting comfortable. Maybe these defenses each week give them some looks that they're not quite expecting because of Ohio State's firepower. Whatever it is, they have been starting very, very slow most of the year.
It's really a home run offense, isn't it? Lots of productive plays, and they'll gain 50, 60, 70 yards for a touchdown. On the pop pass, Braxton Miller is smothered in the backfield, tries to escape and makes something of it, but still loses 5 yards.
Boy, how about Barney this time? Jerome Barney, number 91. He's going to come right here. He's just going to shoot a gap. Does a really good job of shooting right through there. There's a miscommunication, and Ohio State makes a mistake. They have great field position, and Penn State's defensive line, I'm telling you right now, early in this game, they are setting a tone at the line of scrimmage.
They've got depth there. It's the best position group on the team. Barney's a backup. Jones, pump fake. Rifled and batted down. This defensive line again does a terrific job. That was Austin Johnson, the junior from New Jersey, who got a hand up.
Yeah, Nassib gets most of the attention with Zettel, but Johnson is a force on the inside. But Chris, you brought up a great point, and it's something you see from a lot of great defensive lines. They rotate a lot of bodies. They'll rotate as many as 9 or 10, and the reason they want to do that against these tempo teams is they want to stay fresh. They want to keep their defensive line fresh. And in this era of James Franklin inheriting this roster, the one spot they did have some depth, the defensive line.
So it's 3rd and 16. The Lions rush only 3. Jones is flushed out, flips it far side, complete to Elliott, but he's far short of a first down. See if they consider going for it here.
They're right in that area. Yeah, Urban Meyer is walking down, taking a peek, see exactly where he is.
They need 9 yards. They don't really have Jack Willoughby with the distance field goal pedigree.
Although,
he's missed a few over 40.
Thursday at practice he made one from 57.
Yep.
So you know I think they're confident in his leg strength. There's the leg that he has, but it's also a little bit of a game of field position here early. So you can make sense why they would bring the punter out.
Yeah, Cameron Johnson on for the 3rd time, so they pass up what would have been about a 52-yard attempt. Try to once again pin the Lions deep. Johnson is so good at this. Tremendously accurate punter. I mean, that's not an accident. They'll tell him, aim the ball at the 8-yard line, bounce it there, and we'll cover it. And this Aussie can do that.
You know, it's amazing. You watch so many games on a Saturday. There's so many punters that kick it through the end zone. Seems pretty simple when you watch him do that.
Hackenberg pinned back again. The Lions still up by a field goal. Tell Cam Johnson, aim for the 8-yard line. Our guys will get down there, get behind the ball.
All right, let's see how close he gets to that 8-yard line. Oh, 7.5. Ugh.
Bryce Haynes, the long snapper, came down and covered it, but so far the punter is the best executor on the Ohio State team by far.
Yeah, and you know Mike Black, who's our expert, not only spotter but kicker and punter expert, says he's one of the best punters in the country, and we've seen him now the last couple of years doing those things.
So again, Saquon Barkley to the right of Hackenberg in the end zone. They hand it to the true freshman, makes a quick cut. Not only is he their fastest back, he's also their most physical at about 225 pounds, but the Buckeyes will be all over him tonight.
Penn State has been backed up now deep in their own territory the last couple drives. The last drive starting at their own. It's going the way you want it to go. You cannot allow bad field position and then to make a mistake deep in your own territory to affect not just the outcome, but also the momentum of this game.
Barkley shows you his skills. He's about a yard short of the first down, but what they love about it, Kirk, is with a struggling O-line, this guy can get more than the play was really blocked for.
Well, he can make people miss. You see the great backs in college football. Watch the safety top right come down. Boom. You see that little move right there, that little stutter stuff, the jump cut. The great backs do that. They have to make that safety right there miss and pick up another 5 or 10 yards.
Neither team has yet converted a 3rd down play. Lions need 1. High formation. Buckeyes crowd the middle. They're expecting a run right up the gut. They get it. Barkley spins, and you can see the strength of this young back. He does move the chains for Penn State out to the 17.
And you know, I think there was a quarterback sneak called originally because of how tight the splits were. And the Ohio State defensive line saw those tight splits. They're anticipating. So look at the quarterback, Hackenberg. He sees that, and look at the room to the outside. He decides to bounce it outside away from where all the defensive linemen were. That is great recognition by a quarterback and experience that Hackenberg now has as a junior.
And see why Barkley is the featured back of this offense, even though he's a true freshman. Hackenberg straight back, a first down throw, takes his first downfield shot. Godwin is tackled, and here come the flags. So already he's gotten deep on the Buckeyes, and that time Conley just got tangled up with him. It'll be pass interference.
He got behind him, and once he got behind him, Conley was trying to play catch up and got physical.
Pass interference. Defense number 8. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Godwin is probably the most physical, just a tough wide receiver. Had a great bowl game, Chris, a game I think you called. He gets downfield. He actually gets behind Conley, and Conley, as he's trying to play catch-up, his hands, and not only the feet, but the hands got physical up at the chest and brought Godwin down, and an easy call for the officials. All of a sudden, they go from being back at their own 3, now they're outside of their own 30-yard line.
Hackenberg's accuracy is sometimes criticized on short to intermediate routes. He throws a very nice deep ball, though, doesn't he?
He does. But he'd be the first one to tell you he needs to be able to become much more accurate as a thrower, only completing 53% of his passes coming into tonight.
You fake it to Barkley, and that's right on cue, Kirk.
Yeah.
That is a relatively easy throw, but Deshaun Hamilton had no chance.
And when you look at him and you talk to his coaches, is he throwing off his back foot? Is he off balance? What is it? And they said, we're just trying to make sure his footwork is locked in and he's stepping to his target. But you look at it, he's more often than not when he misses, it's over the receiver's head.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, defense number 11, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Wow. Dan Capron, our referee, indicating that Von Bell, the junior safety, guilty of unsportsmanlike after the play.
And that's the emotions of the game you have to be able to control. Von Bell is a junior. He's played in a lot of big games. I think he was taunting the Penn State sideline. After the play, after that ball sailed over top of the wide receiver Hamilton, he had some words for some of the Penn State players or coaches, and there's an official right there, and he threw the flag on him.
Urban will have some words for him. Oh, yeah. Back to the sideline.
Oh, yeah.
That moves the ball near midfield. Fake it to Polk in that jet sweep motion. Barkley with a stiff arm bounces it outside. Polk blocking for him, and he picks up 10 more, and the Lions are marching.
Well, that is a heck of a run here by Barkley. Here's the end of that play. Here's 11 right here. Von Bell, and it continues on. He keeps going over to that sideline and continues on even a little bit more, and that's what the call was. But now that Penn State has the ball, Chris, we're starting to see what these coaches are talking about with Saquon Barkley. There is a different gear with him in the lineup coming off an ankle. They held him out the last week, but he doesn't look right now that he's affected at all and slowed down at all by that ankle.
They spot him with Akeem Lynch, who also returns to the lineup tonight. Hackenberg steps away, throws it downfield, and it's dropped by the tight end. Mike Gesicki was wide open and backpedaling. Couldn't hold it. They take a shot, and it's still only 3rd and 1.
Well,
that should have been a big play.
Yeah, Hackenberg does a great job of stepping up into the pocket to buy a little bit more time, and he has his eyes downfield the entire time to see Gesicki, who gets behind Darren Lee. And I don't know if he's thinking about, I'm going to catch this ball and turn upfield, but he has to secure the ball. Penn State's had a lot of drops this year, and that's a big one right there that could end up being costly because now it's a 3rd down.
They missed a hold on Adolphus Washington, who was pass rushing that time. So now Nick Scott is in the slot. Empty backfield on 3rd and 1. Play clock at 3. And with time running down, Lions call time.
Yeah, James Franklin sprinting down to make sure they got that timeout.
An important 3rd down play when you come back. Lions trying to add to an early lead here. Yeah, 16 go. Forget the red zone. God. Yeah.
Say about
keep you posted on that game. Of course, the first for the Gators without the suspended Will Greer. And Harris going in there, quarterback on the road. Penn State now, after the timeout, needs a yard here on 3rd down. And they've got Barkley back in the game. They got a quick rest. He is their best short yardage back. It's been a real area of weakness for Penn State with Barkley out of the lineup. But he makes a difference. And Barkley's off and running. They won't catch him. Touchdown, Penn State. But a flag is down. So hold on a second. But Barkley took off, got the corner. This one may come back.
Holding. Offense number 72. 10-yard penalty. Repeat third down.
It's the right guard, Brian Gaia, whose hold will call back the touchdown run.
You see him coming right here, right in front of you, right there. He's actually locked up with the linebacker, Booker, who is in for Perry. And, you know, even if he doesn't hold on there, that cut was so sharp that Barkley is, again, we're starting to really see for a young player in this environment, special qualities from this young back.
He's only played about 3.5 games. So if it's a true freshman, misses 2.5 games, goes and faces this defense.
And in this environment.
And is sharp from the start. That is rare stuff, isn't it?
And again, think about what was the last, I started to think about this afternoon, what was the last great Penn State back? I mean, great. Maybe Larry Johnson back in 02. Another timeout by the head coach, James Franklin.
Timeout. Penn State, their second. 30-second timeout.
Still upset with the official.
He is, but he's frustrated that they didn't get that play off. A crucial 3rd and 8 play that penalty moved them back to their own 49.
This is really where Penn State needs to show some poise. They had a chance to go up 10. Obviously, a penalty brings them back. They're distraught. They're frustrated, but they have to shake that, forget about it, and move on now and try to finish this drive off.
That hold was pretty clear cut. And Franklin had to see that it was near their sideline.
For Penn State, say whatever you want. This team has come in with a great deal of poise with an offense. You know, I mean, they've come into this environment. All the talk about the offensive line, and they've given up a lot of sacks the last couple years. They look really confident in playing with a lot of poise early here in this game.
Heather mentioned pregame that was going to be the big challenge. I was there on Thursday. They were pumping in that loud crowd noise, but that doesn't prepare you for this.
No, not at all.
And the way they struggled in a 5-game homestand, you would not have expected this O-line to play this well early. Scott and Polk are in the backfield on 3rd and 8. And now it's Ohio State that's going to spend a timeout to think about their play call on 3rd and 8. This is going to be a heck of a third.
Them in Evanston.
Absolutely.
A lot of injuries. They just keep plugging along. C.J. Beathard has brought a spark to that offense this year.
Clearly now the favorites out of the West would be big underdogs probably in the championship game against whomever they face. It's a long way off there. Scott and the tight end, number 11, Brett Wilkerson in the backfield. After all those timeouts, what do we got cooking here on 3rd and 8? Heckenberg pressured and sacked for the first time as Joey Bosa beginning to heat up and show some of that 2014 form.
Well, the Ohio State defense, Luke Fickell and Chris Ash, they always want to try to find one-on-one opportunities for Joey Bosa, and he gets that matched up right here against the right guard, Brian Gaia. And when you get a one-on-one matchup, you better hold on, because 97, much like he did last year in overtime against Penn State, it's either power or speed, and he's coming right through you.
So Gula punts it away. It's a very short kick, doesn't get a roll. And the Lions will down it at the 30. The holding penalty calls back Barkley's 44-yard touchdown run, and then a sack, and the drive fizzles. Talked about all the great action today. Don't miss any of it every Saturday on the go with the Watch ESPN app. Stream all these games live. Just download it and go to watchespn.com. You know, Bosa only had a half a sack coming into last week's game against Maryland, got his first full sack. He's been getting close, Kirk. A lot of hurries, but not getting home like last year.
Well, no, and a lot of that is because defense or offenses now are accounting for him. They're chipping him, they're double teaming him. Very rarely does he get a one-on-one opportunity. When he does, you see what happens.
See if this Buckeye offense can get going. They pitch it to Elliott, who hurdles into the secondary, takes a big shot, but gets a first down. It was Troy Reeder delivering the blow, but Zeke does move the chains.
And Zeke mentioned that this week to some reporters that He has some experience running track, running hurdles, and he's kind of added that to his arsenal of plays. He's known as a power guy, but he can elevate. And that time he feels like a lot of defenders, especially in the secondary, are trying to go low on him, so he's going over top of him.
They kept Elliott pretty well in check in last year's double overtime game. He's got it again, and they string it out. Elliott not able to cut back. That was excellent penetration by Garrett Sickles, one of the wild dogs that doesn't get much hype, but he's also a fine defensive.
Oh, he's a great player. He has now 4 tackles for a loss on the year. You have Austin Johnson in the middle, but he's out there in space, and he's up against Zeke Elliott, and because of how sudden and how quick he got off the ball, his eyes were right on his key. There's nothing, as good as Zeke Elliott is, there's nothing he could do against Sickles at 6'4", 260.
The 1-yard loss, 2nd and 11, and the back went the other way. Jones was faking to air, and then again another misfire. And the crowd is grumbling a little bit already.
Yeah, Jalen Marshall, and I think the back went the other way because maybe he felt the penetration. Zeke Elliott goes to the left here. He actually is able to help out on a chip of Anthony Zettel, but another throw, and you could see a point after the throw from Cardale Jones. He kind of pointed to Jalen Marshall saying, I was expecting you to slide to the outside. We're just, again, another route where the quarterback and the receiver are not on the same page.
Buckeyes have 17 yards passing in the quarter so far. Need 11 on this 3rd down. Lions drop 8 into coverage, so Jones will have all day. And now delivers complete for a 1st down. That was Braxton Miller diving. And the Buckeyes are at the 43.
You know, Braxton Miller, they're going to go hurry here. But Braxton Miller, it's not just about, hey, I'm moving from quarterback to receiver. That's an example of how far he has come. He runs his route on the left, and then he sees his quarterback in trouble, and he has to work all the way over to the right to eventually get away from the defender. But that is a great job by Braxton Miller getting away from the defenders.
Let's see if they buzz down and take another look at this. Bill Simons is the replay official.
Looks like it might have been bobbling there.
The previous play is under further review. The ruling on the field was a completion.
Now, did the field aid in his control of the ball? Did the ball move after it hit the ground? That's what they'll look at here.
Dave Kataya, what do you have to say? I'm kidding. Dave's not here. I know. His daughter is getting married. Dave, we send our best. We'd love to have him here to help us out. Let's see. You're right. The ball touches the ground, but does it help him, as you say, Chris, in making the reception? Call the field as a reception.
So it goes kind of through. He grabs the back of the ball, the front end hits the ground and does move. The NFL standard is supposed to be the same as the college standard. It seems that they're more conservative on Sundays about giving catches like that.
That last angle was a really good angle to see.
It wouldn't surprise me if this came back.
Does the ball move after it hits the ground up into the possession or up towards his body?
Terrific effort because it wasn't an accurate throw.
After review, the play stands as called on the field. Completion, 1st down.
So instead of 4th and 11 at the Ohio State 40, it's a 1st down to the Penn State 43. I think it's a little bit more of a liberal interpretation of that in college and the NFL, just my opinion. So Miller really got more involved against Maryland last game after 3 very quiet games. And I don't know if it's an omen. They missed an L on his jersey. These blackout jerseys, earlier they had a 1L. Now they've come back and added the L.
He's taking a snap.
Right. Direct snap for Miller. He gets around the edge and flashes the speed. Miller still juking and diving down inside the 30. Just electric when he has the ball in his hands.
This is just an athlete making a play. When he jumps into the line of scrimmage, as it comes off the fake to Cardale Jones, you can see right here, right there, he jumps in. Look at all the Penn State defenders, and then he bounces it outside. I mean, that is just a special athlete who can pull the entire defense in and then jump out to the outside and accelerate away from the defense.
So there's a chain that is broken on the far side. That's where we'll have a brief pause here. Earlier, Braxton comes out in these blackout jerseys, and maybe they had to kind of hastily put them together, and it was Miler. He's a sprinter. He's not a miler, but they had M-I-L-E-R there. Oops. Someone caught it. Go back in, find the extra L.
Exactly.
Chains are fixed, and it's first down, final 30 seconds of the first quarter. Jones fakes it to Elliott, keeps it himself, hit behind the line. So the Lions jump up there. And a tackle for loss by Curtis Cothran, a third string defensive end. Again, the depth for the Lions at that position.
Yeah, but I tell you what, he does an incredible job of fighting off of a block. That time from Billy Price. He just fought through it and ended up making the play.
And welcome back to Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Wells Fargo. Beginning of the second quarter, Penn State leading at 3-0. Ohio State just 57 yards of offense in the first quarter. And J.T. Barrett in at quarterback. Kirk, we talked about this. Not quite the red zone, but with Jones struggling, they bring in Barrett here on 2nd and long from the 31. And they hand it off to Elliott, who muscles forward for a short gain. It'll be 3rd and about 7. So J.T., who excels as a runner, a decision maker. They really trust him in this part of the field.
Yeah, what you pick up is a quarterback run game. The true quarterback run game, the threat of what he can do. With a ball in his hands. He's not quite a Braxton Miller, but he's a legitimate threat. He put his team on his back last year against Penn State in double overtime and ended up willing his team to a victory. Kind of the heart and soul truly of this football team.
Sprained MCL, somehow find a way to run into the end zone late in overtime. On 3rd and 7. Barrett takes off. That's why he's in there. Gets the corner, gets the first down at the 14-yard line. It's pretty predictable, but still tough to stop.
Yeah, you know that he's going to eventually have a chance. That's just a quarterback counter play. He followed the right tackle, Chase Ferris around, got a good block from Michael Thomas. There's 57 leading the way, picks up a block on a linebacker. Michael Thomas working there as well.
Playing fast, and Elliott has it up the middle, breaks the tackle, powers down to the 5-yard line.
And because you have to be aware of 16 as almost a running back, it opens up more running lanes for Zeke Elliott. It's just a different tempo when J.T. Barrett's in the game.
It's a fast tempo right now. Lions not set on defense, and Barrett just walks in the end zone. Red zone specialist strikes quickly as the Buckeyes march 70 yards in 10 plays to take the lead.
Well, that is Urban Meyer's offense. I think there are a lot of people that are Ohio State fans that don't really understand why J.T. Barrett doesn't play quarterback the entire game. Why is he just a red zone specialist? You can just feel a different energy when he comes into the game. That was a zone read. He read it perfectly and walks into the end zone.
Jack Willoughby, senior graduate transfer from Duke, knocks through the extra point. So Barrett provides a spark immediately. We'll see what the quarterback plan is going forward.
Watch the defensive end collapse down on Zeke Elliott. A great read. The defense is lost, and it's just a different gear when J.T. Barrett and that zone read comes.
Kind of situational role so far this season.
He's a captain as a sophomore. 45 touchdowns you just talked about, Chris. Goes down the line. He's talking to guys. Whether he's on the field or not, he is, again, the heart and soul of this team. He will become the only player in the history of this school to be a 3-time captain. I think that says it all about J.T. Barrett.
Kickoff is taken at the 4-yard line, and that's Scott knocked down short of the 15 as the Lions go to work down by 4. We check in with Cassidy Hubbard. Thank you very much. Penn State had to feel really good about things until that last Ohio State drive. They come into a hostile environment. They weather the initial storm. They've had terrible field position all game so far. And hanging around, down 4. Barkley is the tailback in the I formation. He's got it. And moves the pile forward for a couple there. Raekwon McMillan, the leading tackler on the defense, made the stop.
This Ohio State defense right now. Josh Perry out of the game. Dante Booker, as you said, Chris, the sophomore from Akron is in. He's played some football in these first 6 games coming in to this game, so he does have some game reps, but the leader is number 5 right there in the middle. When Penn State runs the ball, Raekwon McMillan, who's a sophomore himself, and of course Darren Lee. They've got to be able to make plays if they want to slow down Penn State's running game.
Just a true middle linebacker. He just finds the ball, so instinctive, doesn't miss tackles. Barkley, though, gets away, hurdles a man, and is dropped down a couple of yards short of the first down. And you've got a couple of tailbacks who are talented hurdlers here tonight.
Yeah, no doubt. That time, Tyvis Powell went low because he's starting to respect Barkley and his physicality, and he goes up and over it. I mean, he really got up in the air.
6'3" safety. I know he was bending down, but that is athletic. The true freshman. And the Lions will try to convert in what's been a problem area with 26 out of the lineup. They were really struggling in this department. We'll see if he can make a difference again. Got a tight end in the backfield. Barkley swarmed. Conley got there very quickly, and then Bosa cleaned it up. And Penn State must punt.
It's a great call by Luke Fickell and Chris Ash. They bring the corner blitz from the boundary to get an extra defender into the box to be able to help out and be able to make a play. Catches, he timed it up perfectly, completely catches Hackenberg off guard, and especially the running back Barkley. And a great job by the coaches and a good job by Conley of timing that and disguising it just in time.
And Bosa is having an excellent first half, building on, it was his best game of the season against Maryland last week. Gula on the punt and a flag, a false start by the Lions will back him up 5 more.
False start. Offense, number 1, 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
This all turned when that Barkley touchdown run was called back on a hold. A good call. But Penn State has lost their early momentum and now has to be careful here because Marshall set up at his 45 in a position to really get the Buckeyes great field position again. Off the side of Gula's foot, and it's not a very good punt, and Ohio State will start in plus territory. Joey Bosa had a sack earlier, now a tackle for loss to stop this Penn State in longs, and now after a 32-yard shank, Buckeyes set up at the Penn State 45. It is Jones still at quarterback for now. Cardell is 5 for 10, but only for 34 yards. Hasn't had a chance to show that big arm and connect downfield yet. See if they take a shot. Lions show some pressure. Elliott breaks a tackle. Sickles drags him down, but a nice first down gain of 7.
And it's a nice job by Ohio State's offensive line. Zeke Elliott doesn't need a lot of room. Physical back, runs through arm tackles. That time, though, had some room to work with. It was just a great blend of size, low center of gravity, great balance, and great acceleration as well.
Talked about what a home run offense Ohio State is. They've lived with the big plays, and Jones tries to create one on the far side. Thomas with his first catch on the sidelines, first down at the 30-yard line. It really hasn't been an offense that, for the most part, has executed methodically. It's been huge chunk plays that have
and that was one of the few times you saw Cardale Jones take what the defense gives him, and he checks out of the game, and now Braxton Miller, not J.T. Barrett, takes the snaps at quarterback.
Miller, of course, who quarterbacked Ohio State to a couple of victories over Penn State, had monster games against the Lions as a freshman and a sophomore. So far, 3 quarterbacks for Ohio State. Marshall in motion. Miller is running all the way. Braxton Miller gets the edge. Another big gain on first down. Trevor Williams stopped him, but it's 8 more.
You know, the running quarterback, when it affects the numbers and it also affects the eyes, even when, as you said, you know it's coming. You know that there's a good chance he's going to end up with the ball in his hands. He just outruns you. You've got a defensive lineman there. You've got Manny Bowen, who's a freshman linebacker there. And I think sometimes until you see him in person, you just don't realize how quick he gets to the corner.
Here's tricky here as Jones was under center. Then he shuffled out of there, and they direct snap it to Braxton, who breaks tackles again and gets down to the 10. So that's a wrinkle we really haven't seen before.
No, that would have been funny to see him dish that out to Cardale Jones.
Cardale threw a block.
He did. He got out there. Let's see what he does.
That's a big lead blocker.
It sure is. He attempted. He attempted.
Now you got Barrett. We're seeing 3 quarterbacks in 3 consecutive plays, who just hands it to Elliott, who's trying to get the corner. He takes the long way, makes a cut, and muscles for a touchdown. A short but adventurous touchdown drive for the Ohio State offense.
A little bit of everything as far as the quarterback position, but Zeke Elliott, boy, that is a very, very tough run and kind of really symbolic of who he is as a back. The speed to be able to get outside and then somehow is able to navigate his way and running through some tackles to get into the end zone.
The 11th rushing touchdown this year for Elliott, who could close in on 1,000 yards with a big night tonight. Zeke already rushing for 42 yards.
Look at the white jerseys that have him bottled up right there. You got 3 white jerseys right there. He outruns them, and then he's able to use a block that time by Michael Thomas and kind of uses it as a shield to get into the end zone.
Buckeyes building the lead now, up 14-3.
Last 10 years?
Oh, you're asking for hints?
I'm asking for hints.
It is not in the last 10 years. I will give you the landline right there.
I appreciate that. All right.
It wasn't perchance where we're standing right now, was it? Barkley takes off in a quick burst into Ohio State territory. A stiff arm of Apple at the end of the run, but you can see the acceleration of this big guy.
Yeah, watch the block right here by the tight end Wilkerson. It kind of sets the edge here to be able to get to the outside. Does a nice job there. There's just nobody left. Ohio State in man coverage, so you saw Eli Apple just follow the other tight end, Masicki. There's just nobody out there on that edge. That's where you use a formation to get players out of position, and then you go back the other way. Nice call by Penn State.
49 yards rushing already for Barkley in his return to the lineup game. He's got it again, and he's got another little crease. All of a sudden, the offensive line looks a lot better with number 26 back in the lineup, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, we've talked all night about it. He definitely has a different feel. Ohio State that time brought this corner blitz this time. You see him coming right here, and once he's able to shoot through there, good recognition by the left tackle Palmer, and then he's able to get underneath that. And again, you're seeing some similarities between Zeke Elliott and his true freshman Barkley, where they have some power, but also a lot of suddenness to go with it.
2 runs, they gained 37 yards. Misfire there was Polk coming in the jet sweep motion. The snap just bounced right off of him. He collected the lucky bounce.
You come in jet sweep. How many times do you see it when you watch a college game, how close these guys coming in the jet sweep in motion come to the ball hitting him? Well, this time it hit him right in the chest. Very, very fortunate for Penn State that Polk does a good job of being aware of where that ball was. It happened to be right in front of him, and he pounces on top of it.
Darren Lee was close by, but Polk's a guy with great hands, or he probably doesn't collect that ball.
Yeah.
Still, though, Penn State behind the chains now on 2nd and 14. And this will be a test for the O-line. Buckeyes figure to bring some heat. Yeah, they come pressure off the edge. Hackenberg throws to Godwin on the far side. They got the ball out quickly, but a short gain. Conley stopped him.
It's interesting that Hackenberg decided to do that, because that was the run pass option that we see every week, where you're looking at what you see on the inside towards the defensive box area, and you're counting numbers, how many are committed to stop our running game versus how many are outside. He felt he wanted to throw it, but by throwing it into the boundary, Ohio State had 3 defenders. Very short gain to set up this 3rd and long.
Lions just 1 of 5 on 3rd down. Been very poor in this situation so far this year. Hackenberg looked like he wanted a screen. He's got a lot of room. Can he get a block on the edge? No. He's going to be brought down at the 30-yard line by Eli Apple. Couldn't quite get the block he needed, so it's 4th down.
He's actually targeting Deshaun Hamilton, who is a slot receiver, number 5 on that play, trying to go after Von Bell. Von Bell had pretty good coverage. You're going to see Hackenberg here on 4th down. They're going to go for it. But Ohio State playing man, his feet have got to become a factor in trying to pick up 1st downs and against man coverage.
Looked like he had a lot of room there.
Sure did. Eli Apple did a good job of getting off a block.
Lions just 2 of 7 on 4th down this year. Play clock at 3. They're going to have to take a timeout. And Franklin sprinting down the sidelines again tonight. We'll spend a timeout.
That might have been about a 4.7 40. I mean, he showed some great quickness there.
Well, when it's going to be 4th and 13, if you're not quick, you better turn on the jets.
He turned it on there.
They've used all their timeouts, but
you're trying to find a linebacker or a safety or a nickel back in man-to-man coverage, and I'm trying to go after him.
See if Fickle dials up some pressure for this Buckeye front. They've got 6 guys crowding the line. It's Lynch in the game to the quarterback's left. They bring pressure. Hackenberg steps up and will be sacked. Thought about running, wasn't going to make it on 4th down. Chris Worley makes the stop, and Ohio State takes over.
Yeah, that is really, really good coverage here by Ohio State. Hackenberg limping off the field. Boy, that is not a good sign for Penn State. Great defense by Ohio State. They were aware that he may try to take off, and that time Tyvis Powell is right there to be able to take him away and force the sack by Ohio State.
One of the tougher quarterbacks in the country. Christian Hackenberg has never missed a play according to injury. That's what Penn State tells us. And he's been hit as much as anybody in the country who's not an option quarterback. They're looking at that knee over there after the sack.
86 sacks in his career. Yeah, I'd say so. Not to mention knockdowns. And
Jones still the quarterback. And Elliott still running the ball and doing what he does. Picks up 9 on 1st down.
Now this Penn State defensive line that in that first quarter talked about how they set the tone. There's a good look at Hackenberg. Looks like he may have
not cut him out. It'll scrape.
No. But he talked about Penn State's defensive line just setting a tone and playing with an aggressive attitude and getting upfield. And Ohio State, after their touchdown, they seem to be able to settle down up front.
Miller in the slot to the right of Jones. And 2nd and 1. They take the safe route. Just run it Zeke up the middle. 1st down into Penn State territory. Marcus Allen knocked him down.
This is in the first quarter. Ohio State's running a lot of these same plays, and they're running into a wall. In fact, by the time Zeke Elliott might get his hands on the ball, there's a Penn State defensive lineman right in his face. I think it says a lot about the brains of the Ohio State offense. We, of course, know about Urban Meyer, but Ed Warner, Tim Beck, these guys are trying to find some ways to use different formations, different personnel groupings, and all of a sudden you get different blocking angles and you can spring free the running back, Zeke Elliott.
Miller in motion. They pop the ball to him. Braxton Miller gets the edge. Dances out of the tackle, is hit out of bounds at about the 25-yard line. Get the man touches, he will get you yards.
Yeah, and he has great speed, but I think the thing that stands out to me here is this guy right here. Watch this block on Brendan Bell. That's the block, and then you have a great block by Michael Thomas. That's why you get a big gain. It's, of course, a nice run, great speed by Braxton Miller, but an outstanding job of setting that up by the blocks.
He stepped down back at the 31-yard line, and now Elliott is rumbling into the red zone, and Penn State getting pushed backwards, and that Wild Dogs defense is getting chewed up right now.
He did a good job. Marcus Allen, the safety, came down. He was right there to make the play for about a 2 or 3 yard gain. Spin moves away from him and then picks up the 1st down. Number 2 in the background there. He's right there to make the play. Whoop. Spin move right around him. Accelerate downfield, another 1st down.
And Barrett in the game, building this red zone roll. Elliott runs of 9, 9, and 15 on this drive so far. Give it to him again. It's just a punishing ground game, and all the moving pieces of this Ohio State offense now coming into play.
Yeah, and it's when you throw in J.T. Barrett or Braxton Miller at quarterback, it's such a different feel because of the quarterback threat of running. That as a defense, you have 5 or 6 days to get your guys dialed in. And you better spend a lot of time on quarterback run with this quarterback in there, or you're going to have some missed assignments.
There goes the quarterback again. Barrett, touchdown. For an offense that really struggled in the red zone for a lot of this year, I think they got it fixed.
And they're settling in here, it looks like, a little bit offensively.
3 for 3 touchdowns in the red zone against a Penn State defense that has struggled in that department. 66 yards in 6 plays. It was Elliott getting him into the red zone, and Barrett once again finding the end zone.
And this is just vintage Urban Meyer offense, whether it's Bowling Green, Utah, Florida, or Ohio State. When they get into the red zone, you better be ready to deal with J.T. Barrett, Zeke Elliott, and the zone read. And I'll tell you, J.T. Barrett reads this about as well as anybody. Here's who he's looking at right here. He's going to collapse down, and he rides this long enough with Zeke Elliott, so he decides right there, because this defender takes away his running back. Now look at the lane right there, and he's got some blocks. Picks up a great block by Vanette, who's had a great night tonight. And also the offensive lineman getting downfield up to the linebackers. But it starts with the read, and it happens quickly, but he stays long enough on the ride. This is a great look at it. Watch him, eyes on the defensive end. He collapses, comes down, takes him away, pulls the ball out. We talked about how much this is to prepare for a defense. That's a lot of offense to work on the passing game of Cardale Jones, the zone read stuff with Braxton Miller and J.T. Barrett. You only hope you do enough during the week to be ready to go.
Interesting role for Barrett, who had 3 touchdown runs against Maryland, to settle into this. I mean, clearly he would love to be the starter. He'd love to be the guy running the show in all parts of the field, not just the red zone. And we'll have to see how this evolves, because he has been very sharp and efficient tonight. The Lions had given up 14 points in the second quarter all season coming in. Ohio State scored 21 in the second quarter tonight. Nick Scott was knocked down at the 23. All right, Bear, give us the answer to the Aflac trivia question. Penn State's last win as an unranked team on the road against the top 10 team.
You are onto something, asking if it was right here.
19-0?
Indeed it was. It was 1964. 27-0 over number 2 Ohio State. 3-4 Penn State team.
See, Chris is referring to 1978. Art Schleicher making his first career start. I was right up there in C-Deck.
Kirk,
looking down. I was watching that game.
Was your dad on the staff there in 64?
Not in 1964. He was down in Miami, Ohio. But in 1978, Art Schleicher's first start, 5 interceptions against Penn State.
That was one of your earlier memories of football game, tell me, right? Yeah. A painful one, no doubt.
It was.
I viewed that game differently as a young Penn State fan at the time.
I'm sure
I promise you. Shut out in the horseshoe for Penn State? Well, feed Barkley again. He's been the best part of this Penn State offense, and the talented freshman continues to churn out yards against the Buckeyes out to the 44. Heather?
Chris, you can see Christian Hackenberg as he gets back to the line of scrimmage is definitely limping. Penn State does not give out injury information. What I can tell you is that I saw he had a big gash on his right knee. The medical staff attended to that blood. It almost looks like it came from the knee brace on his left knee. So obviously back in, but continues to limp for Penn State.
He's got a very high pain threshold. I mentioned that he's been able to stay in there despite getting hit again and again and again in his career. But he'd love it if Barkley could carry the load on this drive for Penn State. They fake it to him. He fires near side, and the catch is made by Deshaun Hamilton. It was the top receiver a year ago. Quieter numbers so far this season for number 5.
Yeah, last year 82 receptions, close to 900 yards in the year. I think with the addition of Godwin late in the game that you called against Boston College in the bowl game, it kind of carried over into this year. And I think that's the area with James Franklin and recruiting. That's where you're going to start to see them really go to another level, as far as they need more speed and more playmakers out at wide receiver to go along with a guy like Barkley.
Hamilton caught 14 passes last year against the Buckeyes for 126 yards. The time it's Bosa all over Barkley, no gain. It'll be 3rd down again.
Well, Joey Bosa, when he is left alone tonight, he is having a field day. And he just has such a good feel. He got underneath Andrew Nelson that time, the right tackle. And let's keep an eye on him right here. Let's see if they use a tight end or if they're going to use a back to try to help him out. Joey Bosa now moving from the left end, going up to the top now. He's all the way up here at the right side.
Look out, they better get Paris Palmer, the left tackle who struggled this year, some help. Bosa's going to hit the quarterback again. There's an airmail ball incomplete. It was Tyquan Lewis from the other side delivering the pressure. Hackenberg limping off. It's 4th and 5.
I watched him throw the ball, and his follow-through is a concern. I don't know what he's dealing with from an injury standpoint. There's no pressure as far as the injury, but he comes off and just something is not right. I know that the knee, but he almost looked like he was holding his back there too.
Penn State making a change at punter, by the way. Daniel Mascarillo is in there. Gula has not punted well tonight. And the left-footed Aussie boots it high. Nice job as the Penn State coverage team knocks it down at the 3. Kirky referenced that 1978 Lions shutout here in the shoe.
That's Rod Gerald right there. Matt Millen's out there somewhere, right? Making plays.
This was a huge win for Penn State at the time, of course. You're talking like way pre-Big Ten non-conference game here. Old Art had a tough one. We were very different mental mindsets in that game as we watched that game way before I met you.
Isn't it crazy to see those old uniforms from that era?
It makes Ohio State fans crazy when they come out in the new look all black tonight. The conservative faction does not enjoy seeing them in the all blacks. Players like it.
I think it's one and done though, right?
Yeah. Penn State trying to get their offense the ball back. Only 1:05 to go before halftime. They don't have any timeouts, so Buckeyes are just going to chew clock and go to the locker room up by 18. BMW halftime report. John Saunders, Mark May, Mac Brown in the studio. Give their thoughts on this one, highlights, analysis.
Chris, it will be interesting, not just the rest of tonight, but the rest of the season with JT Barrett, who's in now. Is he going to get more and more and more of an opportunity, or is he just going to be the red zone short yardage guy? Because the tempo, the rhythm, the execution just feels much like a year ago. And sometimes with Cardale Jones, it feels like the offense is kind of stuck in second or third gear.
Elliott wrestled down. Whenever he's got the ball, you can't take for granted they're running out the clock. He's a guy capable of going the distance. Lions kicked a field goal, had a touchdown run called back, and then Ohio State got the offense rolling in the second quarter. 3 red zone touchdowns. And it's 21-3 at the break in Columbus. BMW halftime report. And Heather Cox will speak with Urban Meyer right after this timeout.
The second half, he's still being looked at by the medical staff. So not a lot of big plays in that first half for their offense. And if they're going to get back into the game, they need some big plays from Hackenberg in the pass game.
Brandon Polk trying to create a big play on the special teams, but knocked down at the 23-yard line. Our Pacific Life game summary so far.
Yeah, and we have talked now. It's been the last 6 games. They only have 3 offensive touchdowns, and they started a little bit slow, but then they were able to make some adjustments and really got Zeke Elliott going. He's been the key. He's averaging about 5 yards a carry at 78 yards. And when they got into the red zone, give them credit. They did not mess around. JT Barrett's been very, very involved in that area. They have 3 touchdowns now. He's read both his zone reads and both times read it correctly for touchdowns.
Touchdown runs were of 5, 10, and 13 yards. 2 by Barrett, sandwiched around Elliott's touchdown run. Saquon Barkley was the bright spot for Penn State's offense in the first half, but Hackenberg taking a downfield shot into coverage, and the catch is made by Godwin. Dragging Apple down near the 20-yard line. A second big play for the sophomore receiver.
But we just said that if they're going to get back into this game, they're going to have to make some big plays in the pass game. There's a lot of one-on-one opportunities with the style of defense that Ohio State plays. Eli Apple's out there on an island, and he's a very, very talented corner. On that particular play, doesn't find the football, and a great adjustment by Godwin.
56 yards. And now they feed Barkley, who's got the edge in a crease. Saquon Barkley down inside the 10. It'll be first and goal. Remarkable catch. A little veteran move to kind of shove off.
But just a great effort and determination to come back to an underthrown ball to get this half started the right way for the Lions. And then they come right back. They've had a lot of success with Barkley getting to the edge. He picks up a nice block by 73. Palmer gets him, bounces into the outside. That's about the third time we've seen Barkley untouched, accelerating downfield to the outside.
On first and goal, Hackenberg fires near side. Hamilton escapes briefly and dances down, dives for the pylon, but he'll be marked. No, touchdown. Little hesitation on the signal. They'll check this, but good effort by Hamilton. It looked like he was going to get penned in there.
Yeah, it's another one of those plays where the offensive line and the running back, they're running a run play. But give Hackenberg credit. He sees a matchup that he wants. That's the key right there, is to be able to shake off the man-to-man coverage. It was Von Bell. Then he goes airborne. And I think he did get in. His foot stayed in bounds, Chris. He goes up into the air and gets to the pylon for this touchdown. But he got off of Von Bell, which was the most important play, most important aspect of the play. But feet are in, airborne, gets to the pylon, touchdown for Penn State.
Deshaun Hamilton, the 5'10 sophomore, Fredericksburg, Virginia. Mentioned what a big year he had last year in a monster game against Ohio State. That's just an acrobatic move.
For people that thought, well, it's 21-3, Ohio State scored 3 straight possessions, Penn State's in trouble. That's the way.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. Touchdown.
That's the way you want to start a second half when you're down by 18. A similar position they found themselves a year ago to Ohio State. 3 plays, 78 yards, less than a minute, and they're in the end zone for a touchdown.
No doubt James Franklin talked to his team, Kirk, at the break about that comeback from 17-0 down at home. Figured to be a lot tougher assignment here on the road tonight, but he said it, 1 minute, and they've cut into the lead by 7 points. As Joey Julius knocks it through as a flag on the extra point, so hold on a second. And for a quarterback who is still sort of limping around out there, Hackenberg once again showing his guts. Penalty is going to be on Ohio State and decline, so the PAT is good.
Yeah, he looks like he's almost almost playing with one leg out there, but give him a lot of credit the way you talked about. You know, gritty guy who's been beaten up throughout his career. But this is what really got it started. This is the end of it, the touchdown. The effort by Hamilton, he's able to shake Von Bell, and that was recognition, by the way, of Hackenberg. Again, he saw that the Ohio State defense was lined too much, stopping the run, flips it outside, but when you flip it outside, you need a receiver to make a play, and that's exactly what Hamilton did there, getting away, again, from Von Bell.
Who is an excellent tackler. Not easy to get away from the grasp of number 11, but Hamilton does it, his second or third touchdown of the season. 82 receptions, led the conference a year ago as a freshman, almost 1,000 yards. I mentioned with the success of Godwin, the all-around ability we've already seen tonight from number 12. Hamilton hasn't been the featured receiver, but still very capable.
Godwin, Hamilton, throwing Brandon Polk, the true freshman. Geno Lewis has some ability.
Young skill on the team.
Yeah, oh yeah. Youngest team in the Big Ten when you add up all the freshmen and sophomores that are playing, and they don't have a lot of seniors and juniors that are out there contributing.
Barkley, a true freshman, so very young guys at the skill positions for Penn State. Cassidy Hubbard with an update. Do it again now.
It looks like it. Still a long way to go on that one. Some pretty good football on tonight.
Interesting to see in the second half Ohio State's quarterback usage. It's Cardell Jones starting the second half as he did the first, of course, but this offense has been way more efficient. Crisper execution with Barrett at quarterback so far. Elliott hammers forward. Jones is 7 for 12, only for 59 yards, hasn't unleashed the downfield arm yet. Barrett not only running the ball, but I think Elliott's been more effective when he's been the quarterback.
Yeah, well, the whole reason is the quarterback run aspect. If I'm a defender, I'm a linebacker, I'm a safety, and you have JT Barrett back there, my mindset changes compared if Cardale Jones is back there. Cardale Jones is back there. I'm locked in on Zeke Elliott in the running game, and then worrying about the pass.
Elliott's in motion, collects the pass, gets a little seam, and gets a first down before Sickles can knock him down at the 35.
You have to be a lot more creative as a play caller if you're Tim Beck and Ed Warner and Urban Meyer for Ohio State when it comes to getting Zeke Elliott involved with Cardale Jones without the legitimate threat of a consistent deep passing game for Jones. Remember last year Devin Smith when he played those last 3 games? That was a heck of a combination with Zeke Elliott. They're not doing that this year.
Elliott, short first down gain. There's been a shift, and it's difficult to actually figure out specifically how it's changed, but the play calling, Tim Beck and Ed Warner, co-offensive coordinators. Warner's the offensive line coach on the field. He was really the principal play caller at the beginning of the season. Now it seems as that's shifted, and Beck is the voice to the signalers from the press box. Quarterback coach. Play action. Jones thought about looking downfield. Now must throw it away as he was chased very quickly by Brandon Bell and Jordan Lucas, the safety.
I think Penn State, they're going to have to take some chances. And I remember early in this game, they were blitzing, they were confident, they were taking chances. And I think when you see Cardale Jones back there because of lack of mobility, you're willing to take a few chances. And that time they brought a couple linebackers and got pressure. They got penetration, got pressure, forced that errant pass.
There's been some collisions down there in the pit. Look at the black paint that's come off of the Ohio State helmets onto the helmet there. Carl Nassib haven't called his name tonight. He's got 10 sacks on the season, number 95. Now a whistle. They did not.
Now that Urban Meyer jumped in.
Yeah. Meyer had to spend one.
Timeout. Ohio State. They're first.
What's going through Cardale's mind? You know, he has the unbelievable run of a lifetime to get to a national championship and wins the competition to be the starter. But I know he hasn't performed to his standards yet.
No, and what he has to be careful of is starting to press. He just, when you press and you force the issue, sometimes that can even.
Elliott in motion. They look back near side. Catch made. Thomas off and running into the secondary. First down and a lot more to the Lions' 40-yard line.
Penn State deciding to bring linebacker pressure, and really good time to call this for Ohio State. Watch the pressure come right here, and there's nobody left right here. Big thing here for Cardale Jones, get the ball out of your hands. Once he gets it out of his hands, there's a lot of room to run.
Big pass plays have been tough to come by for Jones in this offense so far tonight. That was an important one. Moving the chains on 3rd and 6, and now Elliott muscle forward for a few. Jones got to be thinking, though, unless I can create a touchdown from outside the red zone, I'm not going to get the fun part of getting to pay this off because JT's going to be trotting in there.
And here comes Braxton Miller. He's lined up. Cardale Jones is now lined up at the bottom.
Braxton tries to reverse field. The Lions are all over number 1. There is a predictability factor to it. It's a big loss.
How about Marcus Allen trying to keep contained there and knowing he has a lot of other white jerseys? You just can't let Braxton Miller bounce to the outside. Number 2 comes down right here, and watch him. He's got to get outside. You cannot lose contain. Does a good job of leveraging the football, and by staying to the outside, everybody else can come in and chase down Braxton Miller.
Knew Allen was going to be essential tonight, keeping an eye on Ezekiel Elliott. The safeties, aren't they always crucial when you play a good back like that? But he's also got some quarterback responsibility too. So in 3rd and 11, Jones back at quarterback, empty backfield. Braxton in the slot to his right. There goes Elliott in motion, but Jones looks back to the left, trying to escape. Cannot. Knocked down by Anthony Zettel. And the sack for the Lions. It's 4th down.
And Zettel is there, and how about Nassib not giving up on the play? A young man who's having a great senior year. This is a nice job of coverage downfield. It allowed Zettel, and there's Nassib there at the end to clean it up. But that was coverage downfield. They rushed 4, had 7 in defense to be able to defend the pass, and there's nowhere for Cardale Jones to go with the football.
Well, I'll give that sack to Nassib. I think he's the national leader with 11. One of the most amazing stories in college football. Punt away and a fair catch made at the 8. Nassib never started a game in high school football. Never once.
Yeah,
and he's leading the nation in sacks.
First start was against Temple in his entire life. Week 1. Yeah.
So Penn State,
87.
87th one. He may be watching this game or another game.
I'm sure he is. Legend.
Third time Penn State's been pinned back inside their 10 by Johnson to start a drive. Empty backfield for Hackenberg, who's continuing to nurse that scraped up knee. Doesn't look very mobile there, and he'll be dropped. You could almost see that coming, Kirk. That was Adolphus Washington, but Hackenberg, who's not the most mobile guy, is even more immobile right now.
Yeah, boy, and it's not a great effort here by the Penn State offensive line. The left guard, Brendan Mann, just gets really, you saw Washington use his speed and acceleration. He just went right around him. But what we're seeing with Hackenberg is a guy that was trying to be mobile in the first half, just doesn't have it with his knee hurting him. He just almost submitted to say, hey, let's live for another play.
Given that, empty backfield is something they may not use a lot more of. They give it to Barkley instead, who powers out to the 8-yard line. If you don't have a tight end or a back to help that O-line, it's going to be trouble with number 14. Heather, the way his knee is right now.
Yeah, you guys have been talking about it quite a bit. He's still definitely limping heavily. He's been on the bike in between series. I talked to James Franklin at the half, and he said Christian's been in this situation before. He's never missed a snap due to injury, as he's mentioned. He is good to go. Now also an update on Ohio State's defense. Linebacker Joshua Perry, who left the game with an ankle injury, is out for the remainder of the game. Look for Dante Booker in his place.
Chris, they've now moved Joey Bosa into the inside. Probably looking to get that matchup with Brendan Mann, number 70, that left guard.
Yeah, it's the rush man package. They get very quick on these obvious passing downs, and the Lions do what they've done a lot this year. They sort of just hand it off and punt. Barkley a short gain. Cam Williams stopped him.
You got to believe for John Donovan, the offensive coordinator, it's impacting his play calling. He's got to be ultra conservative, especially deep in his own territory with his quarterback just playing out there on one leg.
Ohio State's play calling challenge, get all the playmakers touches. Penn State's play calling challenge, work around their weaknesses. And it's a big difference there. It's a low punt. Pasquarella is replaced Gula, who struggled, and that's another shank, and Ohio State's going to take over again in Penn State territory as they try to build the lead. Disaster for Michigan in the Big House, and two different Penn State punters have struggled. So Ohio State by 11 takes over at the 41-yard line. Second time they've been in plus territory after a shank punt. Jones pressured, hit, dropped again, and off the edge. It's the sack man. It's Carl Nassib.
Yeah,
Kirk, I mean, he's an amazing guy. He shows up as a 212-pound freshman, gains 54 pounds to his senior year.
Yeah, I mean, think about the commitment in the weight room.
He ate a lot.
You know, he ate a lot. He just felt that he was always capable of doing this. They've had some pretty good defensive ends in front of him. Finally, the door opens up, and he just steps right through it and has had one of the great stories, individual stories this year in college football.
Such a lovely guy. He went to Bob Schumann and says, invest in me, coach. I'm a good investment. Elliott breaks free, gets some of the sack yardage back before Lucas tackles him. So he sold his coaches on playing him, but the work backed it all up.
Yeah, and you know, watch how fast he is. At 6'7", 275 pounds. He's about a 7-foot wingspan, so he's really long. But to me, he's relentless. His first sack tonight was more about just effort. Zettel was getting in there and chasing after Cardale Jones, but eventually it was the effort of Nassib that brought down Cardale Jones on his first one. That time he just used acceleration to go right by Chase Ferris.
I don't care who
he
you
is
play.
Again.
He goes in that 4-point stance, like he's in the starting blocks, right? That's an unorthodox position there. Jones this time looks a high pass that was very close to being a lateral. They'll call it an incomplete pass, but that time it was Anthony Zettel, the tackle, who got in there.
Boy, they might take a peek at that. I don't. It was. See where he is standing when he throws his football. Looks like he's at about the 44. Goes out right about at the 44. So official says incompletion. By the way, he got in there even though he didn't get a sack there because of his height. It's 6'7". He forces that high throw by Jones.
So see if Johnston could be as accurate as he has been, and Penn State back inside the 10 for a fourth time. It's uncanny. The guy is a machine.
Christian
What a weapon.
Hackenberg has to be looking at this saying, can we start a drive at like the 20?
Not with 95 out there.
Is there a chance? I mean, he does this so routinely. He ought to travel the country and just give lectures on this to punters. Because in college football, this is a very hard thing to do if you watch a lot of games. These punters punt it into the end zone all the time. This guy's mastered it.
You know, I love the Aussie punters because I like to go down there for the tennis. I like to talk to Cameron. The games are beamed down in Australia. They watch them win a championship. People all over Australia have Buckeye jerseys on, in part because of that guy's presence here.
I don't blame him.
Well, Hackenberg's in the end zone again. Trying to get some room with Barkley, who does get to the outside. He's slung down late, and that'll be a flag. The official hesitated for a second, but then throws the flag out there, and that's going to be Conley guilty of the 15-yard penalty. Urban cannot believe it. That was right in front of him.
After the play was over, personal foul, late hit out of bounds. Defense, number 8. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Chris, watch Barkley's stiff arm. He gets a hold of Conley, and then Conley, obviously, his momentum ends up throwing him. And
that's not much.
No, but I think what Urban Meyer, watch the stiff arm get into the face mask, and he kind of throws Conley. And, well, just the flip. It's not necessarily how physical it was. It was where he ended up throwing him. He was about 5 yards out of bounds.
Moves the ball to the 22. Barkley shows his skill, kind of sidestepping in the hole, picks up 8 more. By the way, that's the third 15-yard penalty in the Ohio State defense tonight.
The more they can run Barkley, it's still very, very early in this game. The more you can run Barkley and get the attention of Tyvis Powell, number 23 as safety, and Von Bell, the more eventually you can try to go back. Remember the first play to start the second half, they went downfield to Chris Godwin. You get one-on-one opportunities, and Godwin's got to make plays.
Barkley again gets the first down, adds to his total. He is having a night. And again, his first action in 2.5 games coming off a high ankle sprain. You got a $154.
You get caught up in the jump cut and the acceleration, but what I'm seeing is the same thing the coaches talk to us about. What we miss with him not being in is the yards after contact. He has an ability not just to use his speed, but he runs through tackles, and instead of getting gains of 3 and 4, he'll give you gains of 7, 12, and 15.
Give it to him again. He was huffing and puffing before that play because he would talk about how tough it is to come in as a freshman when you haven't played in 2.5 games and be this sharp against a good defense.
I mean, talking about 20 carries, and you want to make sure if you're a Penn State coach, you want to make sure he's getting as many touches as he can, and at the same time, not at a risk of any point of re-injuring that ankle. But so far, he looks really, really good, obviously.
Gets his breath, get a little drink of water. Nick Scott will spell him. On 2nd and 5, Hackenberg, it's a lateral. Scott can throw it, thought about it, pulls the ball down, and dives forward for a short gain. So Scott, the running back, has a good arm. It wasn't open, though.
Well, not only was it not open, nobody went out for a pass. I mean, I'm sitting, I'm watching him. I could tell by the lateral, and I'm thinking, okay, who's he going to throw this ball to? Here's his guys. Watch these guys. Who's going out? Okay, all right, I'm out of here. I'll see you later.
Hamilton got kind of caught up in traffic there, never did get out. 2. Barkley back in the game. And he's got it. And the Buckeyes that time stuff him. Got about a half-yard. Heavy traffic there. Raekwon McMillan joined the D-line on its 4th down, and we'll see if James Franklin is in a gambling mood. Nope. Here comes the punt team.
Raekwon McMillan cleans it up, and Tyquan Lewis is the one who made the play for Ohio State. He just pushed Brent Wilkerson back into the backfield, and his ability to get through and get inside there on that Penn State offensive line was really caused the play.
Pasquarello into punt, and the Lions Aussie lefty, not quite as skilled as the Buckeyes Aussie by a long shot. That one out of bounds at the 25-yard line. Another reminder that Monday night over on ESPN is the Giants and the Eagles. Monday night countdown at 6, and the game kicks off at 8:15 Eastern time in the hotly contested NFC East. Only 30 yards on the punt. That has been a real problem area for Franklin's team.
J.T. Barrett coming into the game, and the crowd reacting. This is not the red zone. It's not short yardage. It's J.T. Barrett getting a chance. And in my opinion, this could be an interesting possession, not just for Ohio State, but an opportunity for J.T. Barrett to see what he can do with this.
Perhaps an expanded role from just the red zone specialist. Has hardly thrown a pass in the last 3 games, and hands it to Elliott for a short gain. I think we forget what an accurate, effective passer number 16 was. We just haven't seen him really throw the ball much this year. He only has 219 passing yards.
And when he has come in, I think if anybody has struggled with this situation, it's been J.T. Barrett not being able to be in rhythm. At least now he's in rhythm because he's getting some playing time in the red zone. But early in the year, to stand there and then come in, that's tough.
Elliott hammers 4th. Again, he's now got his 12th consecutive 100-yard game as we check in with Cassidy Hubbard. Wow. The Irish fans saying, where was a catch like that by Robinson against Clemson?
You knew USC, with everything they went through this week, they would come together as a group and play their hearts out. They certainly have.
Who runs it? 16 or 15 here in 3rd and 4. That's going to be 16. Barrett picks his way, and he does get a first down out across the 36-yard line.
This is where you pick up a first down, and typically this is where you start to see some tempo, but they still don't seem to quite be in that fastball mode. After the first down is generally where you see a quarterback with this style of offense try to pick up that tempo and get the defense on its heels.
Point. It's a signal they're still not really clicking, isn't it? Barrett's got it. He's got the edge. A flag comes in very late as Barrett bolts down to the Lions' 30-yard line. The flag was thrown across the field in the secondary. Did not have much of an impact on the run, at least judging from where it was thrown.
Holding. Offense, number 85. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
They got Marcus Bond, the tight end there.
Yeah.
See if we can pick up where it was.
And it didn't have anything to really do with the play at all. He was Braxton Miller or J.T. Barrett was pulling away, and it's an obvious hold, but a great read again by J.T. Barrett. What does J.T. Barrett bring to this offense besides an ability to throw the ball? An ability to make reads like that. It was almost like the previous 1st and 2nd down, the handoffs to Zeke Elliott, they were setting up eventually the zone read where he kept it.
So on the spot foul, ball moved to the 48. It's 1st and 10. And Barrett to throw for the first time tonight, or will he? No, he takes off, slips a tackle, and ducks down for a first down gain of about 4.
Penn State in great coverage. It looks like we have some pushing and shoving here.
Another flag, far side.
Actually, that may have come from maybe the sideline, the official over by the Penn State sideline.
Sideline warning. Charged against Penn State. Because it's their first, there is no yardage assessed. Second down.
The second time it'll cost Franklin and the Lions 5 yards. Final minute of the third quarter here.
And what J.T. Barrett did there with great coverage from Penn State is what they'd like to see Cardell Jones and J.T. Barrett do, and that's pull it down, and instead of throwing it away, try to take off and use your legs and pick up some yards.
Here's a keeper, and he's hitting the backfield by Nassib.
Ryan
Nassib, not just a sack guy, he's terrific at penetrating the backfield.
And Nassib's been the guy he's been reading. And that time Nassib kind of gave him a finger point as if to say, you're not going to get me this time. He's reading him, and if he commits down, he keeps. He actually misreads this one. He comes down and then bounces out. So he fooled J.T. Barrett that time. He made it look like he was going to go after Elliott, and then came back out and fooled J.T. Barrett on the zone read. Good play by Nassib.
It's a great spot. He's a rangy guy, 6'7" with long arms. Not easy to fool Barrett on that read,
no,
is it?
not at all.
So the Lions get a touchdown in the third quarter, cut into the lead. End of 3. Back after this message and a word from your local ABC station. Anniversary of Hang On Sloopy. The Ohio State band likes to play this song. It was a #1 hit back in 1965. You and Darren Brown, as an ex-Buckeye, your spotter here. By what recording artist was responsible for Hang On Sloopy? As true Buckeyes, I feel like you should maybe know this. Which recording act?
Can I go to the Bear?
He doesn't know. He's
bullpen?
out of his wheelhouse. There he goes again. J.T. Barrett takes off into the secondary, knifing down to the 25.
3rd and long, and Penn State brings pressure. They bring the house and drop the defensive end. Nassib, look at that right there. Nassib on a zone blitz out in space cannot make that play against J.T. Barrett.
Not many defensive ends can.
No.
27 yards. It's not especially flashy or creative. It's almost predictable, but it's so difficult to defend.
When you run a zone blitz, you bring pressure from one side, and then you drop, instead of playing man-to-man, you drop a defensive end out into a spot, in this case out in the flat. So you have your eyes on the quarterback, so you see him scrambling. He got away from the blitz that was off to his left. But like you said, you see him coming, but now you got to try to tackle him. That's a tough thing to do.
And 2nd and 6. Lions crowd the line. Elliott has nothing there. Elliott again with a 100-yard game. He's got 106 right now, so it's 12 in a row. And you've got 2 3,000-yard rushers on this team with Braxton Miller, of course, and Elliott. Not even to talk about what a good runner Barrett is. I mean, it's very hard to find in the history of this sport 2 active 3,000-yard rushers, I should say, on one team.
Yeah. Another 3rd down here. Penn State last time brought pressure. See what they do here.
Elliott in motion in the flat. Can he make a man miss? No, knockdown. That is one heck of a play there by Christian Campbell, who's a backup corner, fought off the block.
And they think he has a really bright future. Watch how he leverages the ball, gets to the outside of Jalen Marshall right there, just by getting out there and not letting Zeke Elliott get away from him and get outside clean. He got his hand on him, he got off of Jalen Marshall, got his hand on him, actually ended up tripping him up, well short of the 1st down.
So Jack Willoughby on to attempt his first field goal tonight. 6 for 9, but hasn't made one from longer than 31 this year. This is from 39. That's got to feel pretty good. He's got plenty of leg, but hadn't been accurate from that distance until now. Buckeyes up by 2 touchdowns early 4th. For a chance to win $100,000 plus a VIP trip to the All-State Sugar Bowl and the National Championship game plus prizes.
That's our oasis.
Yes.
Are you kidding me? That is heaven on the All-State. If you like college football, that's where you want to hop on that bus, because we're yelling and throwing things, going crazy in there watching football every Saturday.
Some of you who pick games,
it's all about
yell and throw things more than others.
It's all about
some of us who don't care who wins, we're still excited.
It's all about the picks.
I'm not throwing things.
I am. I'm throwing the bear around in there.
Oh, at 2, slips a tackle, dives that to the 23-yard line. Lions still in this game in the fourth quarter, but
they are.
Need something out of this drive. Another reminder that over on ESPN, after the ASU-Utah game, SportsCenter at night. Full recap of the day. They'll have your baseball highlights as well. SportsCenter also available on the Watch ESPN app.
You mentioned
the Lions, this is great field position compared to what they've usually had, the 23.
You mentioned that Penn State's not out of this game. They're just a couple possessions. I mean, you know, they've scored. Remember, to start this second half, they scored in under a minute. So they're thinking, held Ohio State to a field goal, still just a 2-possession game.
Hackenberg leans it up the middle, and Barkley breaks a tackle. Gets away, is loose into Ohio State territory, gets a block on the edge. It is finally stopped at the 20 by Vaughn Bell. But if you didn't know Saquon Barkley before tonight, you better get to know him.
You better know him, and it's a great block by 88. Kasicki does a nice job right there of sealing that inside. And I'll tell you, this guy has such a feel for this play. They've been running this play the entire game, an inside zone play. He does a nice job there. There's the strength to run right through the tackle, a potential tackle by Conley. But the eyes, the vision, and the power and acceleration on display yet again for Saquon Barkley.
No running back has had a run like that against Ohio State all season long. Barkley into traffic, giving up 2 long runs to quarterbacks, but Ohio State's defense coming in had allowed exactly 3 rushes of 15 plus.
Yeah, but I don't know if they've seen too many backs like this.
No.
Forget about the guys of a true freshman. He's just special. He's coming off of an ankle injury, sat out last week. He's at 22 carries so far tonight, not showing any sign at all of an ankle injury. And I told you, Penn State's still thinking, hey, we're a couple possessions and we're back in this game. They definitely are still in a position to compete in this football game.
Into the red zone, which has been a problem area for this offense. We'll see if Barkley can fix that. They fake it to him. Polk's on the end around, gets a block, and gets 8 yards before Conley corrals him.
See, what they have going right now is that inside running threat of Barkley is freezing those linebackers. So it's a nice compliment to run Polk off of that same look, and then you get him accelerating around the edge. Ohio State caught up in the middle worrying about Barkley, and they pick up some valuable yards there around the edge there because of the safeties and linebackers locked into the middle.
Desperately need to convert this 3rd and 2, which has been a tough situation for this season. Barkley not going to get there. Quick penetration. Bosa was involved, joined by Washington. So now a decision for Franklin, down 14. Offense still on the field.
You talked about Bosa being involved. He's known as a pass rusher. How about this technique? Look at him on the far right. Comes down, locks up, wraps up, and puts him on his back. That's why he is evaluated by so many people. He's great against the pass and the run. Huge play.
Lions need 2 to keep this drive alive. Hackenberg in the pocket. Hand-out escape, does not get the first down as Tommy shut the door on him. He's really limping off the field now.
And again, it's easy to see this, but Ohio State lost Barkley right here. They lost him coming out of the backfield. Absolutely nobody stays with him as he slides to the outside. If he dumps it, he walks into the end zone for a touchdown, and Barkley knew it.
Back to work after the 4th down stop. Lions 0 for 2 on 4th down, 1 for 10 on third down tonight as the troubles continue. Exactly 10 minutes to play here. Elliott looking for the home run. Cuts it back and is knocked down at the 34 by Brandon Bell. This is the time of the game, Kirk, when, as you know, Elliott tends to get free for these huge runs.
He sure does. And this is where the offensive line from Ohio State really has to say this is a huge drive. With just under 10 minutes to go in this game, they need to be able to say we need to take things over up front and help Zeke Elliott out.
Got it again. Now Barrett keeps it around the left side and is chased out for another first down near midfield by Marcus Allen.
It's a great feel here by J.T. Barrett. It's again a zone read. The defensive end's coming down. Corner also on the blitz. He feels it, senses it. And by reading that, again, Chris, defensively, you have to be concerned about both these guys. They bite down. He pulls it around the edge, picks up huge yards. And here at the end, it looked like the Ohio State fans felt he was hit maybe a little bit late. But you got to worry about both 16 and 15. It makes it very, very different to defend the offense.
200-yard rushers now tonight for the Buckeyes. This is Elliott breaking free and is knocked down at the 38-yard line by Lucas, as that Ohio State running game really imposing itself now. Heather?
Chris, a great run by J.T. Barrett on the previous play, considering he spent the entire last series laying on the ground behind the bench, getting his calves and hamstrings stretched on both legs. He was still wearing his headset, had his jacket on, was still involved, then got up, was pounding the electrolytes, trying to get the cramping in his legs under control.
Cramping on a very cold night here in Columbus. Elliott is short gain, but runs of 19, 13, and 15 yards. They're now landing some body shots in this Penn State defense.
And for Ohio State offense, it still only has 82 yards passing tonight. They have really relied on the running game of Elliott and Barrett to get them home.
An offense that came in averaging exactly 230 rushing and 230 passing through 6 games. Have you ever seen anything like that through half the season?
No, right.
It's identical to the 10th of a yard. Elliott again bounces free and drags a man for a first down. Haley, the corner, trying to bring him down, but it's going to be another Ohio State first down.
You know, we're going to talk a lot about Elliott and what J.T. Barrett can do, but just watching this drive, Taylor Decker, the left tackle, Billy Price, the left guard, even the tight end Nick Vanette. A lot of guys are making some big blocks to open up some running lanes right now for the Ohio State running game.
Such continuity up front, unlike Penn State, which just had a different lineup almost every game. The O-line around the end. Barrett slings it down, has a man. It would have been a touchdown, but Samuel couldn't stay in bounds. As it is, he's out at the 7.
So you're running and you're running zone read after zone read, and you give them the exact same look. Look at the linebackers coming up. The safeties have their eyes in the backfield. Nobody looks behind them, and that's exactly where Curtis Samuel ran a wheel route and got behind him.
On first and goal, Buckeyes playing quickly. Short gain for Elliott. So we see J.T. Barrett as a passer. He's 2 for 2, 19 yards. Done most of the damage as a runner. Will he get the hat trick here tonight, or will Elliott get another touchdown?
Well, it depends on the way Penn State tries to defend him, but this drive again with the running, and then the play action, that's an identity. That is kind of an identity of who you want to be as an offense, and it just feels different when he's in the lineup.
Buckeyes letting the play clock wind down here, and apparently will spend a timeout to talk about this second and goal play as they try to build in a 14-point lead. 6:28 to play. Also, thank you. Notre Dame has beaten USC. Good win for Brian Kelly at home. Buckeyes second and goal after the timeout. The pop pass and a touchdown. Shades of Urban Meyer and Tim Tebow in Florida. It's Braxton Miller with the touchdown catch. I'm starting to really like this red zone thing they got going all of a sudden here.
You're right. When you see that play, you can't help but think of Tim with the jump pass when he used to come in as a freshman, especially in for Chris Leak. There it is. An oldie but a goodie, still effective. When you run the ball with a quarterback, you can show that run. He gives him the point. That's your call. That's your play.
Urban makes the comparison of Barrett and Tebow. Obviously, they're different skill sets perhaps, but in terms of what they've meant to the teams and this red zone role, and that was an homage to Tim there.
And from a leadership standpoint, both are once in a lifetime type of leaders. Tim with Florida, and of course JT for Ohio State.
Keep all the guys involved there. It had to be fun for Urban Meyer. It was an old school kind of play, but Tebow's success with that at Florida kind of brought it back into popularity. Polk at the 2. And those Piranhas on the kickoff coverage team closed down quickly at the 15-yard line.
Go back to this touchdown. The 2 inside linebackers, they're thinking about the run. I love to see Braxton Miller, a quarterback his entire life. Watch him to the far right. He actually does a good job of selling it to Brendan Bell. Brendan Bell is an outside linebacker. He's thinking the way Braxton Miller came off the line of scrimmage that he's going to engage and try to block. And Urban Meyer's got to be excited not just for JT Barrett, but the timing and the execution by Braxton Miller. It's a nice job.
Could not be a stronger contrast in red zone performance for Ohio State between the first 5 and the last 2 games. Now Hackenberg on a bad knee trying to get free and lob it downfield and had a chance to make a play there. Conley broke it up as Blacknall was out there, and there was a flag way back down in the holding zone. Joey Bosa may have burst through there.
Holding. Offense, number 53. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Dowry he's trying to take care of his quarterback, and he was beaten so badly by Washington right here. Watch what 53 he does right here. Just pulls him down.
Bosa gave him a shove to the ground way after the play too, which is close. Bosa had a targeting overturned by replay, by the way, last week, or he would have missed the first half tonight. First and 17, Barkley takes the handoff and picks his way up the middle.
The way Ohio State plays defense, they love to leave Eli Apple on one side and Conley on the other, literally just on islands. It's a defense that they started a year ago, had a lot of success with it, and they continue to do that. Puts Von Bell, their 11, and Tyvis Powell, puts them in some tough positions against run and pass, and also those corners on islands against a pretty talented group of receivers.
Slant incomplete on 2nd and 11. Hamilton was closed down quickly by Von Bell. Ohio State, 102nd week, Kirk, at number 1. It breaks the all-time record held by Oklahoma. Going to get to, looks like 20 wins in a row, 27 regular season Big Ten games. Is this the performance these fans were hoping for and expecting tonight? They have very high standards here.
Yeah, they do. I think for Ohio State, it's about winning and trying to improve each week. And I think their fans have high expectations, just like the coaches do. But I still think they're trying to figure things out offensively, and we'll see where they are in the next couple of weeks if the quarterback situation works itself out.
Hackenberg flips it short. Lynch, did he catch it and drop it? Yeah, it's a fumble. Buckeyes have it down inside the 5-yard line. Jalen Holmes recovered the fumble. There's a flag as well. There's a bang play. Lynch caught the ball, and then it was ruled a fumble. Cam Williams was with the ball carrier. Now they'll talk about the flag.
I don't know if he was trying to throw a beanbag, like where the fumble was, or I don't know. I didn't see a penalty where they threw the flag. Maybe that's what they're discussing.
Prior to the change of possession, personal foul, targeting, defense, number 55, 15-yard penalty. That play is under further review.
So that would wipe away the fumble recovery, and they'll check it out. Cam Williams is the player flagged for targeting before Lynch made the catch in the fumble. Let's see if he got it here.
This is a throw out into the flat here, and low, yeah.
Crown of the helmet.
Use the crown of your helmet. Well, that was official right there. That happened so fast. It was hard to see him lower his head right there.
Cannot use the crown of your helmet on an opponent. Also can't target his helmet, but that looked like a pretty clear case of it right there.
Yeah. When you lower your head and use the crown of the helmet, it doesn't matter where you hit the ball carrier.
She also can't hit him in his helmet.
But that's different than the defenseless player. That's when they're looking for the contact up above the neck.
Bill Simons, the replay official, waiting for his verdict.
That happened really fast. If this is, it probably is going to end up holding up.
There's a smile from Williams, but this would mean no change of possession. Penn State keeps the ball, 15-yard penalty, and Williams is out for this game and the first half of the Rutgers game on the road next week. Another look.
Yeah, he definitely lowers his head.
He's the backup to Raekwon McMillan, so you wouldn't say plays a huge role in this defense.
After review, the targeting foul is confirmed.
Yeah.
Number 55 is disqualified from the game. There's a 15-yard penalty, an automatic first down. It will be Penn State's ball, 1st and 10 at the 29-yard line.
You know, fans boo, but this rule is in effect now all over football to protect the players. You know, it's not just that he's going to potentially hurt the Penn State player and he's taking a victory lap. It's much about trying to protect himself.
It's the second time today we've seen a player get cheered as he leaves the field after targeting. Not quite the victory lap that Wolverine. There's a
Joe Bolton. Joe Bolton took a victory lap, didn't he?
So Williams is out, and Penn State's got the ball now, 1st and 10. Hackenberg trying to escape, loses the ball, and Ohio State's got it. So Sam Hubbard recovered the ball, and there'll be no rescue for this turnover. Knocked loose by Washington. And Hackenberg, a game effort, but limps off after losing it.
It's good coverage downfield, and it's a twist move that Washington's able to get by Derek Dowry again. And you're looking at Christian Hackenberg. He is basically a sitting duck in that pocket. It just does not have any mobility. Really nice job by Washington. Instead of just trying to go for a big sack and bring him down, he rips at the football to jar it loose and dislodge it away from the quarterback, Hackenberg.
It's been a collective effort. 4 different Buckeyes that made sacks tonight. That's the game's first turnover. It's a reverse. Marshall, a long way to go just to get back to the line of scrimmage, but barrels down inside the 10.
Chris, you're talking about getting everybody their touches. The one guy that's not really been involved much tonight has been Jalen Marshall. And I think Jalen Marshall could be as good a skill player as they have on the perimeter. With all the talk of all the other guys, and they have a lot of them, Jalen Marshall is physical, he's experienced, and he has great quickness and feel for the game.
It's a run all the way by Barrett. I agree with you. Marshall wants to be the downfield threat for this offense, kind of taking over the Devin Smith role from a year ago. And this is a situation where I think you're exactly right. They got Braxton Miller a touchdown. They get Marshall a touch. Now it's just making sure that all the playmakers are involved and still in good spirits going forward.
Yeah, and with Jalen Marshall, you see him back as a punt returner. He's a guy who played in high school. He played quarterback down in Middletown, Ohio. Really, really skilled, talented player.
Second and goal. Barrett looking for the end zone. Throws it up. Caught for a touchdown. Michael Thomas get number 3 involved now.
And I think you need to get number 16 more involved. Just my personal opinion. The quarterback, J.T. Barrett, putting the ball exactly where it needs to be on a fade to the corner, away, kind of the back shoulder there. He had so much room to work with. Throws it away from Trevor Williams to that outside shoulder, and Michael Thomas uses his body to keep Williams away from it.
Barrett 4 for 4 passing, 2 touchdowns, 101 yards rushing. Any doubt in your mind that he's got to be the starter next week for Ohio State?
I think if I were Urban Meyer, I would take the keys to the car. I would hand him to number 16, and I would say, "Hey, babe, go get him. It's your show. Go for it."
Willoughby makes it 38-10. Did Barrett earn the starting job back tonight? We'll see. He's got all these talented guys who want the ball. He wants them to want the ball.
Sure.
But
he also wants them to want to. He also wants them to want to win. And then, you know, if the touches come, they come, and if they don't, they don't. It's just kind of how it is.
Fifth touchdown reception for Thomas. It's a very short kick. They'll pooch it, and just bounces right into the arms of Scott, and he's going to be wrestled down at the 25-yard line as we check in with Cassidy Hubbarth again. Take a peek at that one later on. Utes tough at home, but ASU has kind of had their number in recent years in the Pac-12. Have not lost to them in Pac-12 competition.
You know, ASU also playing a lot better last couple of weeks, taking care of the quarterback, Mike Berkovich. Only a couple sacks.
Let's see if they take care of this quarterback. Hackenberg's back in there. They're up by 4 touchdowns. They don't need to get him hurt on a bum knee. We'll just see if they feed the ball to the running backs here as Barkley slips as he tries to cut back. Be careful with number 26 as well, and the game appears to be out of reach. Our Pacific Life game summary: Ohio State, after a slow start on offense, the 3 red zone touchdowns in the second quarter. Lions got a TD run to get back into it, but then a strong fourth quarter showing by Ohio State.
Incredible. Barkley almost at 200 yards, and Penn State with 10 points. You know, if you would have said coming into this game that Saquon Barkley is going to run for 200 yards, you would think Penn State's offense would be in rhythm and they would be able to throw the ball. But that has just not been the case. Ohio State doing a great job of getting after Hackenberg. Only 7 of 12 for 120 yards.
Could be the first conference loss for Penn State, and they'll drop to 5-2. Ohio State going to win their 20th in a row. Lynch is in the game now on 3rd and 10. And they hand it off to him, and Bosa blows it up in the backfield. Joey Bosa starting to show that form that made him a unanimous All-American last year.
Chris, watch, they move him inside. Watch him right here. Takes on 1 guy, 2 guys. That's like a drill you do in practice. Takes on the guard, takes on the tight end coming down, gets off of both of them using his hands, and then accelerates through the ball carrier. That old Mel Kiper and Todd McShay, you want to put that one off to the side for whenever the draft. Was the draft in April or May?
Wherever it is, there'll be a lot of Ohio State players drafted.
There will be, yeah.
You know, Todd's got the different position groups as the punt is dangerously fielded there at the 30-yard line by Marshall, and he's knocked down quickly. Here's the Chick-fil-A rankings. Baylor, that's your #1 team. A convincing enough win to keep them atop your rankings.
Yeah, and it's going to get a lot tougher for Baylor, but they've been the most consistent team. They've played some teams that aren't necessarily that great, but they have blown every single team out, been the most consistent team so far the first 6 or 7 weeks.
And that game in the Big House that will be talked about for as long as they play football in the state of Michigan. A bobbled punt, and Michigan State, which had a 0.2% chance of winning that game before the play happened. In other words, Michigan was a 99.8 probability to win the game. Found a way to lose it in the last play.
Well, when you're punting with 10 seconds left with a 2-point lead,
yeah.
you like your chance?
Exactly. Normally.
Yeah.
They've given apparently Elliott the rest of the night off, and they give a rare handoff to any other running back. And this is Briante Dunn saying, hey, I can run the ball too. If you ever want to give 15 a rest, I'm pretty good. Gets out to midfield. That's only his 5th carry this season. Well, the eventful day, Baylor in Waco just whacked West Virginia. Can anybody stop that offense? They put up 62 today. Alabama ran over and ran through A&M. No answer there for Big Henry. Hard-fought home win for LSU and Fournette over a game Gator team which changed quarterbacks. The stunner in Ann Arbor. By the way, it is 42 days, about 1,000 hours if you want to start counting down to Ohio State, Michigan, Harbaugh against Ohio State for the first time. About 1,000 hours from now.
That's where we are.
Going, yeah. 6 weeks from today in Ann Arbor.
The winner of the Michigan State game, you knew, and it looked like it was going to be Michigan there for most of that game, but Michigan State ends up winning that game. It was going to set up a showdown with Ohio State. So you have Ohio State and Michigan State late in the year, and then the very next week you have Ohio State and Michigan. It's amazing how much Michigan has improved in year 1 under Jim Harbaugh.
Urban's guys are going to Rutgers for the first time ever. He still never lost a Big Ten road game. That's next week in prime time. Final minute. Done again, bangs off tackles, and he's trying to make the most of his carries. The Ford wrap-up show with Cassidy Hubbard after the game. And what will be a 4-touchdown win for Ohio State. 27 in a row in the regular season Big Ten play. 20 in a row, and Urban Meyer is going to have his 4th 20-game winning streak of his career. No other coach in history has more than 2. He's got 4 of them now at his various stops along the way. Elliott, 12 straight 100-yard game. Barrett was brilliant doing what he was asked to do.
2nd week in a row, Ohio State's offense doesn't turn the football over. 2nd week in a row, they're very, very successful in the red zone. 2 most important things for Urban Meyer when he evaluates his quarterback play and when he evaluates his offense.
Saquon Barkley, the brilliant freshman, showing why Penn State fans should be excited about his play in years to come. 194 yards, averaged 7.5 per carry.